I'm the CEO of HOA.com. Yes, you heard that right, HOA.com. And I know you're thinking right now, I hate my HOA. Well, we're on a mission to change that. We live in a free country, but if we don't pull our garbage can in a certain amount of time, then we're getting fined and disciplined and scolded. And we feel like we're back in kindergarten. People since 2020 have felt divided and isolated, and we want to bring everybody together so that you get to know your neighbors and you actually do life with people that you like. Reality is there's not a lot of national regulation when it comes to homeowner associations. It's kind of the wild, wild west. And the lesson there is, guys, you can have anything you want. You just got to go ask for it. And you got to figure out how to provide enough value to the people that have what you're looking for that they say yes.
Today, we have an interesting conversation. Unlike many others that we had before, or I don't think we have a similar conversation like we're about to, at least what I hope that we're going to have today, with an interesting guest. Brandon Barnum. Brandon, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself and let's get into it.
All right. Sounds good, Eugene. Well, my name is Brandon Barnum. I'm the CEO of HOA.com. Yes, you heard that right, HOA.com. And I know you're thinking right now, I hate my HOA. Well, we're on a mission to change that.
Yeah, I was just gonna, say that, but I'm like, I'm not gonna say it just because I hate HOAs.
Let me claim it. It's okay.
and especially as a developer, I'm like, HOAs are just a pain in the ass. Like, I don't know how else to describe them. We've done a couple of condos in the past, and obviously you can have a condo building without an HOA. And obviously there are a lot of single family developments that require an association. So tell me, Brandon, what do I need to do to not hate my HOA?
Yeah, well, good question. I mean, most of the HOA issues that we hear about, people are frustrated about transparency. Number one, they feel like they pay a lot of money and they don't know where it goes. The second thing that we hear is communication. There's not a lot of great communication. And then the third is the politics or the policing, right? So the politics that we hear about is people are like, oh, my board president, my HOA board president's an absolute tyrant, and they think they run this little city. And then the other thing that we hear is people feel like they are policed overarchingly. It's like, we live in a free country, but if we don't pull our garbage can in a certain amount of time, then we're getting fined and disciplined and scolded, and we feel like we're back in kindergarten. So those are the issues that we hear, and we're out to change those, both through technology, AI, and then also just being good humans. And we think instead of giving somebody a fine, what if we just sent them a text message or gave a quick phone call and said, hey, Eugene, by the way, we noticed that your garbage can's still out. We really don't want to have to fine you. So can you just bring that in and text us and let us know when it's done? What a concept, huh?
Right. Seriously. I think the policing is definitely one of those most annoying things. And what I hear a lot is, oh my God, these insignificant little people who mean nothing, who have no power in the world, all of a sudden gain this much power, and they love to display it. They love to send those notices. And, oh, that guy who walks around the neighborhood and picks on everybody for, this and that. And what do they care about my floor mat? How do we deal with that?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because there are a lot of people out there, and I think people feel like they're a little petty sometimes, and that's not the kind of community that we want to live in, right? So part of our mission at HOA.com is to educate boards and board members as to how to create a better way to HOA. One of the other things that we're doing is we're launching an HOA community questionnaire, basically a survey to ask homeowners how they rate their HOA, their board, and their community management company. And that way we can serve as that third party, that independent agency that captures and collects people's feedback and then presents it in a report to the HOA board and the management company so they know where the gaps are. Because I think a lot of times these are blind spots, and we come in as an outside organization and help shine the light on the gaps, and then we can help improve the process.
As a developer, though, I've read through, unfortunately, a few copies of declarations of HOA rules, And I've sat in these meetings with lawyers that charge stupid amount of money for
Right.
doing the job that they do. And I was thinking, after lived in many condos myself, I'm like, I don't want to have the rule book that's so stupid and difficult. But at the same time, wearing my, developer hat, I kind of don't want people to have some stupid floor mats out in the hallway.
Right. Right.
How do I find that balance? Like it's an internal struggle because what's going to
Yeah.
happen is that
Right.
we're going to turn over that building to the HOA, and 97% of the people that live there are not going to give a crap. And then there's going to be a couple of the residents that are so involved and they want to manage and they want to be involved in every single thing and they're super nosy and they want to know what everybody's doing. How do you find that balance?
Yeah, well, I think the balance comes partially through education and really just helping people see that there is a better way to HOA. And why do HOAs exist in the first place, right? Is to create that common set of rules that we as neighbors moving into this neighborhood agree to be bound by. And rules have good and bad to them. They're great if you're applying them and actually abiding by them. And if you're not, then they feel a little constrictive, right? So, but they're there to help elevate the entire community. And overall, HOAs sell for 5 to 6% more than a non HOA equivalent home because of that fact, right? So it helps improve your property values, which are important. But on the development side, I think it's important that you start with a good foundation and you create a set of rules are that commonplace that make sense. You do have to address any of those specific issues. And what we're working on right now is sort of the national best practice for the CCNRs and the bylaws so that we can present our certified HOA strategy and concept to developers and you kind of know what is the best way to go. So you don't have to pay attorneys a bunch of money, but you've got a proven set of documents that you can adopt for your community.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, I would love to see a set of documents that's been tried and tested, and especially with some good practices so that we don't create ridiculous rules, but at the same time, give people a certain degree of freedom and expression, and but kind of keep things under control.
Yeah, and there's a balance. So we just brought on our one of our most recent board members. In fact, President Trump just endorsed her as the next governor of Arizona. But she's a real estate development attorney and she's been in this industry for 30 years. And so I was meeting with her recently and we were talking about this very thing. And she said, look, I've developed countless communities and these HOAs and there's some practices that she's discovered and we're integrating. And as we're working with some of the largest developers in the country, what we're creating is the gold standard of HOAs that we'll be able to support developers and builders with so that again, you don't have to figure it out on your own, especially if you're a smaller developer. You don't want to have to spend tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. We're happy to provide that blueprint. Obviously, you want to always take it and have it reviewed by legal counsel. And I have to say that, right, to cover my legal assets. But the reality is that there is a best way to do it, a best practice. And that's what we're compiling and creating and providing to developers nationwide.
Excellent, excellent. So is HOA.com a membership type organization or what is it?
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? We're really creating an ecosystem for HOAs, and 53% of all homeowners in the US live in an HOA. But as we talked about earlier, most don't love their HOA. So our number one mission is to help people love their HOA. We do that through a number of different ways. It's always free for homeowners. We have a home safe report where homeowners can enter their address and they can get a report with everything about their home in one location, including a valuation that gets updated monthly. Kind of think of it like a Zillow report plus a next door and an Angie's list all in one. So we have vetted professionals where we do background checks and we locate the top pros in different industries in the area. And honestly, that's how we make our money. We have two different revenue streams. It's free for homeowners. We have certified pros, which are professionals who serve homeowners, and they become a member in our referral network side of our business. And then on the HOA side, we have a SaaS platform, software as a service. So we have a software platform that HOAs that want to self-manage, they can create their account and they can manage everything about their HOA in one location. All the voting, board management, vendor management, all the financials, dues collection, ticketing, architectural review process, all of that is in the HOA.com platform. And then what we're just about getting ready to introduce is our new AI community concierge. And we've tested this so far with over 10,000 phone calls. The AI knows all of your CCNRs, all the answers to all the questions that homeowners call in with. And what we find is that HOAs are either run by volunteer boards or a professional management company. 65% are managed by a professional company. The HOA hires a company to manage the community. 35%, it's volunteers. So in either case, our AI knows all the answers and will take the phone calls that your people don't want to answer, right? The managers and the board don't want to deal with it, but the AI is able to handle. So far, 78% of phone calls have been resolved without needing to go to a human. So it improves homeowner satisfaction because they get the answers that they're looking for quickly. Where do I pay? How do I pay? What happens in this situation? I want to paint my fence. I want to paint my house. What colors? What's the process, right? And then 22% of the time it needs to get escalated. So it reduces the load on the board or the community management company. And it lets them focus their time on what is really important and where they need to do research or get resale documents or an architectural review process, for example. We believe we'll continue to refine that AI to the point where we'll get up to a 90% homeowner satisfaction on the first call. And that's our goal. And then what we're doing is we're adding in the community concierge. So at the back end of that call, homeowners will know that they've got one place to go to find a pro and that we can help them with a 5-star pro for all their home service needs.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So it essentially once it's all, up and running up to the like 90% efficiency, would you say it almost benefits the HOAs to self-manage and not deal with third-party manager?
Yeah, it's really up to them, right? That's a personal decision, but we'll certainly have a what we call a self-service and a remote management option, and that really doesn't exist. So that's sort of new to the industry. The reality is most community, the professional management companies are for the larger communities. But if you've got an HOA with 50 or 100 homes, it may or may not make sense to hire one of those bigger community management companies. We can typically save those HOAs money and handle most of the things that they need and help them get organized through our software platform and save money so that their homeowners aren't paying as much for management.
Oh, that's amazing. How much does it cost if you don't mind me asking?
It's on a community by community basis, and it all depends on the number of homes that are in that community. Typically, it's around $5 per homeowner per month.
Gotcha. Okay. So for a developer, is it something that I need to be thinking of ahead of time before I set up my HOA and draft all the legal documents? Or is this really for the folks once they move in, once the community is established, that's when they call you and get it all set up?
Yeah, so the answer is both. If you've already developed a property in a community, obviously it's too late. We can help you after the fact, really to improve what we say is unity through community. Part of what we do is that we help the community throw different community impact events. So like an ice cream social, a community barbecue, an egg hunt at Easter time. And we have 100 different community impact guides so that the HOAs or the pros that serve them can throw these events to bring the neighbors together so people feel like they live in a connected community. People since 2020 have felt divided and isolated, and we want to bring everybody together so that you get to know your neighbors and you actually do life with people that you like. And our long-term plan is to actually introduce friends, kind of a friend match concept so that you meet neighbors that have similar interests and that you have more friendships right there in your own neighborhood.
That's amazing. In Washington state, we have this crazy thing about condo HOAs
Yep.
where, in 4 or 5 years, when builders' warranties run up, there's a bunch of lawyers that are targeting these HOAs
Mm,
and are trying to convince them to go after the developers and builders to sue them for various defects, whether they're real or not real. And a lot of times they, I don't want to say manufacture stuff, but they find things that could be easily addressed and fixed and blow them up into lawsuits. And HOAs have been hated by a lot of developers for that reason, and that is one of the reasons why we don't build a lot of condos around here,
mm.
uh, because it's difficult. Is there a way, or is there, I don't know, is there something that I could use your platform to help sort of mitigate those risks for developers?
Mm. It's a really good question, Eugene. Right now, that's not something that we have solved for, but I'll definitely take that under advisement. One of the things that we're doing with our AI is we're identifying the issues that are happening in different markets around the country because, what you're describing there in Seattle, Washington, or Washington, I shouldn't assume it's Seattle, but in the great state of Washington, we find that similar thing taking place, but maybe in a little different flavor in other markets. And so what we're doing is identifying what are the most common issues that each of the stakeholders are facing, right? And we really have four primary. We've got the developers that are creating the communities that people live in, the HOA boards or management companies that manage them after the developers and the builders build the homes and create the community. Then you've got the homeowners and the pros who serve them. So we have sort of four different stakeholders that we're creating the community and the ecosystem to support everyone. And what our AIs are studying is what are those issues that are coming up for each of those four groups that we can just make life a little better and improve the process for. So I don't have a solution for you today, but thank you for bringing the issue to my attention, and we'll see if we can have a solution for you in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be awesome. One of the things that has been a pain point, and I know they've been trying to address it with local government here, or the state government rather, is there was a notion that HOA board members could have personal liability for not
Mhm.
taking certain legal actions against the developers. And so that's been causing a lot of the stir because obviously nobody wants to have personal liability. And so it's been a serious issue.
Right.
What I would like to know is we're spending a ton of money on lawyers.
Right.
By being a member as a developer, by being a member of your platform, I understand there's certain standardized documents that you're working on. Could we jumpstart on that so that I didn't have to, so that my meter didn't have to drop at $25,000 in legal fees to draft condominium declaration and all the rules? How can you help me with that?
Yeah, it's one of the things that we're working on. I can't tell you that's in place because it's not, but we're actively working on that very thing and creating the templated documents that developers like you will be able to use in those local communities. And, the reality is there's not a lot of national regulation when it comes to homeowner associations. It's kind of the wild, wild west. I was recently I live in Arizona, and I was talking to the director of the commissioner of real estate here in the state of Arizona. And she said, there is no governing document database. And so one of the things that we're working on as we activate real estate agents as HOA specialists is acquiring or receiving all of the CCNRs, the bylaws, and the board contact info so that we've got a governing documents database that everybody can access because that should be public record. You should be able to see if you're going to make an offer on the house, you should be able to see the CCNRs before you make the house. And right now, it's usually
Right.
not until after. And so there may be something that's restrictive that you ultimately decide that's not the right community for you because you like having your truck on blocks. Or no, I'm just kidding about that example. But the reality is, we're in the process of solving a number of different issues for the four different stakeholders. Uh, so it's a future state, not a current state. Right now, what we're solving for is for the homeowners first and foremost. That's the number one client avatar that we focus on is how do we make life better for the homeowners? Well, the board members are homeowners. And so that's where we provide that community concierge, create the connected communities, the home valuation reports. And ultimately, we're building a platform, as I said earlier, like Nextdoor meets Angie's List meets Zillow. And so on our platform, you can find local events, what's happening right around me. And we're integrating in the neighborhood news so that we can hyper localize the news feed so that you know what's happening in your neighborhood, but then also in the greater local community, because right now that doesn't exist.
That's cool. So how does it work? Is there like an app that homeowners have access to, and is it customized to each HOA independently?
Yeah, it's a web app at the moment. So you go to HOA.com and if you're a homeowner, you click on homeowners at the top. You can enter in your address. You'll see your home safe report. And from there, you've got access to all the tools, including events and the pros and all of that report. We're building a home safe report that's going to be like Carfax for your home. So ultimately, you'll be able to save your top trusted professionals on your home safe report, and that way it'll be all of the pros that you've trusted. If you think about it, your painter, your plumber, your electrician, typically you call them, you hire them, they come out, they do a job, and then they go in ghost mode, meaning you never hear from them again. What we're creating is one centralized homeowner record where you have all of the pros. So it's where to go to find a pro. And all that is at HOA.com. Just click the homeowner link and then you can claim your home safe report.
Okay, so if I need a plumber, I go on the portal and I look for plumbers. And is that basically every plumber who paid you to be listed, or is there a screening, or how does it work?
Yeah, there's background and we have both a paid membership and free membership. So we have plumbers that are not paid members, but they've been vetted and verified on HOA.com. And then we have some that take the next step and go through our certification process. And so those are what we call certified pros. And you can find both. And then we also have a partnership with Thumbtack. And so if for some reason, because we're, just rolling this out nationwide, if we don't have a 5-star pro in an area, in an industry, then we partner with Thumbtack and serve the best possible pro in that local neighborhood.
Okay, excellent. How long have you been around?
We started the company a little over 4 years ago. We started as the homeowneralliance.com. And then we were able to acquire the HOA.com domain a little over 3 years ago, I think it's been.
I was just going to ask you, how the hell did you get HOA.com?
It's a funny story, Eugene. I was in a meeting with my business partner and we were the homeowneralliance.com. And I'm sitting there and I said, this domain is just too long to fit on the side of a bus. And I said, if we're going to create $1 billion company and add value to everyone, they've got to be able to remember it easily. And I said, okay, if we could wave a magic wand and have any domain on the planet, what would it be? Home Owner Alliance. I went, there's got to be an HOA.com. And so I typed it into my browser. And at that point, the owner was selling vanity email addresses. So I went, okay, let me see if I can buy Brandon at HOA.com. I did, I could, and then I had it. So then I reached out to the owner. I said, if this is your business model, you're probably not selling as many of these as you'd like. I had just exited from a company called refer.com, where we built it up to 5 million members. And I said, here's what we're doing next. And I'd love to partner with you and utilize the domain. So I made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And here we are.
Excellent, excellent. Good
Isn't
job.
that fun?
Good job.
And the lesson there is, guys, you can have anything you want. You just got to go ask for it. And you got to figure out how to provide enough value to the people that have what you're looking for that they say yes.
I agree. That's the most important part. A lot of times it sounds scary, it sounds impossible, but more times that I can remember, when you just go and ask, something positive happens, and maybe you could do something for them. Maybe they want something that you have, and there's ways to make deals.
I remember getting off that phone call, Eugene, and I said, looked at my partner and I said, I think we're going to get HOA.com. They're like, no way. What are you talking about? There's no way. And I'm like, I'm just telling you, I just had a great conversation and I think we're going to be able to utilize this domain. And the owner is just such a sweet man. And he's had it since 1994. So one owner for over 30 years. And when he heard what we were doing and the mission that we were on and the change that we want to make in our great nation, he said, I've been praying for somebody like you to come along. And so he was thrilled because he knew that there was so much more potential here. He knew that the industry needed to be transformed. He didn't know how to do it, but he had the right asset, the right domain. So we created a win-win agreement that helps him and helps his family and will help so many more millions of families over the years to come.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Are you nationwide? Are
Yeah.
you picking and choosing? Okay.
We are nationwide, and it's interesting. We're just working on a partnership with Remax, the real estate company. And so I was meeting with their CEO and their SVP, and their SVP told me, we have 144,000 real estate agents worldwide. 55% are in the US, 45% are outside the United States. And she said, we want to create unity through community all over the world. And so we're still working on a global solution. We don't have all of the data on every homeowner and every community around the world. We have that for the US. So currently we're in the United States. That's our major market. But overall, and in the long term, we will be connecting communities all over the world.
That's an excellent mission. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's so much fun, man. I get so excited every day because I know what we're doing makes a difference for the homeowners, for the pros who serve them. And, that's if we can make people's lives a little better, then that's a great way and a fulfilling way to spend the day.
Right, exactly. Brandon, what else would you like to tell us about? What should we be talking
Yeah.
about?
I think that what I'm most excited right now, number one, I'm launching a new book, Raving Referrals for Real Estate Agents. You can kind of see that. That comes out on February 25th. We're launching that at the REMAX National Sales Convention. So I'm super excited about that. That's going to make a massive impact for a lot of agents that just don't know how to get more business. They know their business comes by referrals, but they don't have a system and a process. So they'll go to ravingreferrals.com and check that out. That's exciting. But what I'm most excited about is impacting the real estate industry through our new Certified HOA Specialist course and designation. So what we've realized is that over half of all homes are in HOAs, 53%, but nobody has taken the time to really educate real estate agents on being the expert when it comes to HOA. So we've created a course. It's about 4.5 hours long. They watch our videos online, and we're just getting ready to roll that out nationwide. And we believe that we'll have hundreds of thousands of real estate agents that'll go to hoa.com/CHS and will enroll in the course and really invest in themselves and their communities and become that certified HOA specialist that is deeply entrenched in the neighborhoods they serve. We want to connect communities. Real estate agents are the perfect person to really serve those homeowners on a deep basis. And as they coordinate ice cream social, I got to tell you this one about we were doing a community barbecue not far from me. And it was a real estate agent and a mortgage lender that put on this event. We give them the blueprint. Here's what to do and how to do it. They had hired a teenage kid to invite all the neighbors out. And on a Saturday, they had this community barbecue. And what was so cool is there was about 50 people there. And I was looking at the entire park, and the dads are playing cornhole. The kids are playing kickball and basketball. And the moms were all just standing around and dancing and laughing and listening to music and having a great time. But the coolest part, Eugene, is as I looked around, I looked at every single person at this event. Not one person was on their cell phone.
Oh wow.
Not one person. Everybody was fully present, having fun, getting to know their neighbors. And that's what we call unity through community. So that's what lights my fire. That's why we do what we do, is we want to kind of go back in time and help our neighborhoods really know each other and do life with the people we live next door to. So that's what I get excited about.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, especially if you can get a bunch of people together and not one of them is picking up their phone, they're not bored.
Right?
Could this certification be useful to developers at all?
Yeah, it's interesting because I started to share this with other people, and they're like, oh, I wish I could do this outside of the real estate industry. So we will be developing a certification for developers. That isn't in place. The first version is for real estate agents specifically, but we definitely will be creating a certification process for developers just to educate and inform them on all the things and considerations as they're creating their own HOA, because they're establishing the rule set for these new communities, and they're going to affect dozens, if not hundreds of families based on the rules that they put in place. So really important. We haven't done that yet. We've got a lot to accomplish, Eugene, but we're just getting started and the best is yet to come.
Awesome. Well, hey, Brandon, good luck to you. And anybody who is developing for sale properties, be it condominiums, townhomes, or single family developments, HOAs are going to be an essential part of your development process. So definitely check out HOA.com and talk to Brandon.
I love it. Eugene, thanks for having me today.